What do you not know? I think that's an important question to ask yourself because your own personal areas of uncertainty are areas where other people can try to manipulate you or coerce you. And I want to talk a little bit today about why that is and what some possible ways are of defending yourself from that. A little while ago, I watched a very interesting quote by Richard Feynman on uncertainty. Richard Feynman is one of the most prestigious modern physicists, and he said this kind of interesting thing. I can live with doubt and uncertainty and not knowing. I think it is much more interesting to live not knowing than to have answers that might be wrong. And the part of that statement that really caught my eye was his statement, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with uncertainty. And I guess that kind of contrasted with me personally because I also do not know what's going on, but I was not okay with it. I was really not okay with it. And so I would sort of say a large part of my adolescence and young adulthood was really about trying to answer some of these bigger questions. And for me, the unknowable things were things like, is there a God? Is there an afterlife? Where do we come from? Etc. I mean, probably how I even got interested in people like Richard Feynman because physicists provided one set of answers to those questions, kind of. But part of the problem I had with believing some of the people who provided answers to these questions is I could see that they were getting material benefit off of pretending to have a certain degree of certainty where there was no certainty. Probably one of the first institutions I grappled with was Christianity. And basically, what Christianity was kind of saying to me was, hey, if you come and you do everything that we say, then you're going to go and you're going to have a place in heaven, and that would be great. And that sounds fantastic. But here's the problem. The problem is what I noticed is a lot of people selling me this, a lot of people telling me that if I obeyed them, I would go to heaven. They were getting benefit in the here and now. They were getting money and donations for their church. They were getting social status. They were getting large groups to do what they said. And then in exchange for that, when I died, I would theoretically go to heaven. The only thing is everyone who could tell me how accurate this was dead and not in a place to discuss it. And B, if it turned out to be wrong or they had been just lying or misleading me, I wouldn't find out until the afterlife, if at all, right? And so, I became very skeptical of that. It looked to me like a little bit of a con deal, right? Like, you give me the benefit I want now, and in exchange, you get benefit after you're dead. I mean, that almost just literally sounds like a con, right? I don't have anything against anyone personally being Christian or any religion. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. And if someone, for some reason, is pretty sure Christianity is right, I'm not going to argue with that. But what I will argue with is I'm very skeptical of people who receive material benefit from convincing other people of this, because they just have so much incentive to lie about it, or to just, even if they don't lie, to convince themselves of something not true so they can keep receiving that material benefit. And so then I did kind of become skeptical of basically most varieties of organized religion. And, I kind of considered the other extreme, which was atheism, but I sort of saw that in a way, atheism actually had a similar set of problems. People who were the most kind of outspoken atheists ended up reaping some sort of social benefit, reaping kind of social status, for lack of a better word. Some of them would kind of sell books or do little YouTubes and things like that. And then there was another material benefit of a lot of atheists I saw, which is that it freed them from the Christian restraints of their childhood. So imagine hypothetically someone like me, and people say, hey, Emma, for you to be a good Christian woman, you have to obey and do everything your husband says. Well, if I become an atheist, now I can do whatever I want. I don't have to obey my husband. And so that's a kind of material benefit in contrast to Christianity that I get there. The only problem is that doesn't actually address the question of, is this true or is this not true? So being an atheist in a society that places religious constraints on people offers some degree of material benefit as well, mainly the benefit of not having to obey the constraints other people are obeying, you might want to be atheist just so you don't have to do all the stuff the religious people are telling you. So part of what made me skeptical about any sort of organized system like religion or atheism or anything like that was that the people who were espousing it the most strongly, they received some variety of material benefit in society. And that material benefit would lead to them not really being able to be objective on the matter. And this is a known phenomenon. If you see it in science, it's called confirmation bias, which means if a scientist or a group of scientists want an experiment to go a certain way, they will have a tendency to accidentally bias the data to make the data look like that. When it came to answering any of these sort of uncertain things, I saw that the people outside me were really not in a very good place to tell me what was going on. And, as I saw this, it was kind of really frustrating for me because I kind of basically see a whole system across the board of effectively people trying to get personal power, money, and influence off of areas of other people's vulnerability. And so I certainly don't have the answer to any of those big questions. Where do we come from? What happens in the afterlife? Is there an afterlife? Or anything like that. But I do feel very frustrated with people who promise supernatural goods in exchange for material goods in the here and now, because I think they're really taking advantage of people in their moments of uncertainty and in their moments of unknowing. However, I don't think it's just these sort of big places of uncertainty where people get taken advantage of. I think it's also kind of smaller unknowns as well. So some examples of that might be people who kind of ask themselves, will I ever find a romantic partner? How will I find a partner? Or maybe young people or people switching careers, like what job would I like to do? What would I like to do with my life? Those kinds of questions are difficult to answer questions where people tend to have a lot of uncertainty. And what I notice is when they come up, you have other people who are offering solutions to those problems, usually in exchange for money. For example, let's say you're a single person and you are wondering, will I ever find love? And what you'll see is a whole host of people, a whole host of, love gurus, self-help book people, therapists, and whatever. You have a whole bunch of people who will arise and promise you, hey, if you follow my plan, I will help you find love. And what happens is they can't really promise that you'll find love, right? The same way these people can't really promise you're going to have an afterlife. What they can do, though, is you can give your money up front for the hope that they're right and that you will find love at the end of it. I'm not saying that people should or shouldn't do that. I'm just saying there is a similar tendency here for someone to receive material benefit up front for for helping someone with an area of uncertainty where success is certainly not guaranteed. A similar thing happens with, kids when they go to school. A young person or a person switching careers might say, I don't know what I want to do. And so in that area of uncertainty, the whole industry of for-profit universities has sprung up. And, I think we're seeing the bottom fall out of the university system, certainly in the US right now. But I do think a lot of people were taken for a ride just because they didn't know what direction in life they wanted to go. And I'm not saying that people should never go see a therapist for their relationship problems or they should never go to university. But what is frustrating is that there are really a lot of people who are there trying to suck money out of you and take advantage of the fact that you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling uncertain and you don't know what to do. I mean, that what does not happen, people don't get encouraged to explore what they personally want. So sorry for the interruption, but full disclosure, I actually messed up and ended up recording the last part of my video in super slow motion and didn't catch it until I was editing. But I was nearly done, so I'm just going to finish up with my thought. And so where I was going with this is that we have a real culture where we encourage people to not explore things for themselves, but to rather pay experts to theoretically tell them what to do. And, I disagree with that. I believe in paying for experts when necessary. However, when it comes to these sort of matters of the heart, we would have a lot of benefit, or each person would have a lot of benefit from being taught to explore things personally. Part of the way that you get the sort of courage or energy to explore things for yourself is you need to become okay with uncertainty, and you need to be able to tolerate periods of uncertainty while you're doing this exploration, and not just immediately reach out to people to try to fix it for you. And so for me personally, meditation has been a massive help with that. I have personally do Zen meditation and Vipassana meditation. Vipassana is sometimes called Insight now. I'll put some links to that in the description below. I do know for people who are religious that there are leaning on the religious side of things, or praying to God can be useful. And then for people who are more atheists, I think possibly just knowing yourself and being very aware, or just finding a way to deal with discomfort. And of course, meditation. I got into meditation because I have trouble with some of the faith aspects of religion personally, and so it's possible that a non-denominational form of meditation could work for atheists dealing with this. But the primary thing is, I think it's important to learn a way to tolerate and to get comfortable with uncertainty for long periods of time, because this will allow you to explore things for yourself and not rely on other people who might be biased or trying to take advantage of you. So anyway, thanks for finishing this video. If you got here, sorry for the final bit. That's a bit weird. And I wish you good luck in exploring your uncertainty. Bye.